Welcome back, everybody, to Z Daddy's Garage. So, you saw my introductory video where I'm working on this 68 Chevrolet C10, trying to get built for Biloxi, Mississippi. Cruising the Coast 2025. Woo! So, we're going to start on the suspension on this side. I've already got the other side done. Make me look like I know what I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? So, first, we're going to start by taking the wheel off. There's a bunch of different ways to do this. Anybody's welcome to do it the way they feel like it. I found it easiest to do it this way for me because I currently can't get the truck to the lift. There's way too much stuff in the way. So what I'm going to wind up doing is taking these two top bolts off of my upper control arm that holds the control arm to the frame. I'm going to take my brake line loose. That's pretty much it. I'm going to take and fold this upper control arm out with the wheel off. The brake line will let everything flop over here to the side. You then take the shock off. The lower control arm fars enough to get the old spring out and get the new spring in. So that's what we're going to do with it. Let's get to it. Good old 13/16, which I didn't grab. Didn't get the other shock either. Wow. It's okay. Feel free to grill me in the comments. I don't know what I'm doing. Jesus. I used a chrome impact on my socket. Don't report me. Yep. Wow, that's nice. You will have to forgive that. I don't currently have a camera stand, so I'm completely winging this. We're going to see what happens. If I get enough interest in anything going on, then I'm obviously going to get better equipment and an actual microphone so you can hear me better. The shop is kind of a breezeway, so wind's going to kick up. You're not going to be able to hear everything I'm saying. So I will be getting better equipment. This is simply starting out because everybody has to start somewhere. Why be scared? You know, if you never try, you're always going to fail. How about that? Something along that line. Anyways. Tire's off, so I'm not going to take my brake line loose. There is a 3/8 nut compression fitting, excuse me, holding the hard line to the soft line. You start by breaking that loose. Disconnecting it from your soft line. You then have a little horseshoe-shaped clip that holds your soft line into the hex bracket. So one end of your soft line has a little 6-point drive on it like a nut, and it slides through a solid piece with a hole drilled in it, slides through, and then your clip goes on the line itself that holds the soft line into place. You're going to take your screwdriver, pop that clip out. Oh yeah. Nice and muddy, stubborn. There we go. That's your little clip. Then you just drop the soft line out of the fitting, or out of the plate, excuse me. That's all you need to do there. So let's go ahead and take this shock off. Actually, let's not. Yeah, let's go ahead and take the shock off. So on this truck, both top and bottom of the shock are 3/4. Get you a wrench on that nut on the bottom. these are the original shocks. So they're 58 years old, 57 years old. Oh, that's warm. Hold on, baby. Yeah, they've never been off. This is the original shocks to the front of this truck. I changed the back ones years ago, but the shock mounts were broke, and at the time I didn't have anything to rebuild the shock mounts with, so I think I just laid them somewhere, and they've since disappeared. When you take the top mount off, we're going to do with that bottom hardware. Oh, no fear. Comes with new stuff. Out the bottom. And then you kind of got to pull all this junk off the top. It's a little bit tight, but it's okay. There's your shim. Pull it off. So, I was saying these are the original shocks. You can tell by the factory blue paint on the shocks. Well, not only that, but you can also see because of this. Straighten that up. Push it together. Nothing happens. Those were doing me absolutely nothing. So, those are junk. The Touring Tech kit that I bought, the 3-inch drop for the front, 5-inch drop for the back, came with the correct shocks, as I stated. This truck's never had the right shocks on it, even after I dropped it. Didn't really care. I was a broke kid, having fun, you know. So, why not do it? Little backstory to that, actually. Me and a buddy was out here one night, partying, having a good time. And I decided, why not get a torch out and lower my truck? So what I did was put a 2x4 under each frame rail. I measured how far the frame rail was off of the ground. I then decided how much drop I wanted. Now what I did, I wanted a 3 in the front, I wanted a 5 in the back. So let's say I had 20 inches between the ground and the frame rail. Instead of doing 3 inches, making me a block, so I didn't cut the block at 17 to give me 3 inches of drop, I cut the block at 18. So that way when the frame rail's set on the block, I step back, let the springs cool off, do whatever I'm going to do. When I kick the blocks out, in my theory, that would give me the other inch. And I was correct. So, excuse me, the pollen's nasty out here. That was what I wanted to do. In all 4 corners, I did 3 in the front, and I did 5 in the back. And kicked the blocks out. It sat level, it sat perfect, everything was happy. Well, that's not obviously how you lower a truck properly. So I then didn't care for the next 5 years. And when I decided to put the big block in it and do all the stuff that I'm doing for Cruisin the Coast this year, I figured it was about time to go ahead and get the right lowering stuff. This corner of the truck, as I stated in the last video, was sagging some anyways. It was going down the road leaning. So I decided to go ahead and put the right stuff. Came with the right shocks, the right springs. So anyways, this from Touring Tech, it also has your upper studs. So I'm going to pull those out, lube up the new shocks, and slide them in there later. Not right now, but later. Yeah. All right. Oh. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and break loose these upper control arm bolts. So there's 2 that run through the frame rail side. They're carriage bolts, and they stick through this wishbone against the back, or that makes up the mounting point for your upper control arm. There's 1 of 2 ways to do this. You can take these other 4 bolts around the perimeter off, drop the whole bracket, or you can just take these 2 loose, and as long as your spring is not just pushing the crap out of it, you can take these off, and it'll basically, you might have to wiggle it, but it'll basically just fall out in your lap. This is the way I decided it was going to be easier to do, so this is what I'm doing. Like I said, I kind of got the truck boxed in here right now, so I can't get it over to the lift. Would be a little bit easier on my back, but hey, you know, gotta do what you can do. Wow, there's a lot of mud on this truck. All right, those are loose. So I'm now going to hook my crane up just to hold the bottom, hook them to the bottom arm so that way everything doesn't fall out and hit me in the shins and stuff. It's not a good time. You can also do this with a floor jack or a jack stand, or I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to do this. So don't get hung up on any one certain way. Doing this stuff is all about learning. It's all about making your stuff cool. And even if you're the only one who thinks it's cool. I'm just going to put a little bit of weight on that. Not enough to knock the truck off of the jack, but all right. At this point, we should be able, there we go. Just pull the control arm off. Wiggle it through my little mess here. I did ball joints in the truck probably a year and a half ago, so I'm not worried about them. They're in good shape. I'm gonna clean this grease off the grease fit and put a little more grease in them. But it's got brand new ball joints in it. It's got brand new inner outer tie rods. Like I said, I built this truck 13-ish years ago. I've been driving it ever since. Hell, I've dailied it for probably 5 of those years, 6 of those years. Actually, probably more than that, probably 10 of those years. So it's always had a little bit of routine maintenance here and there, but not what it should get. You know, getting started out in life and getting married and having kids, and a lot of this stuff tends to take a back seat to life, and that's just kind of the way it is. But finally getting a chance to do it, I've been wanting to do this truck for a long time, so I'm glad y'all can join me on the journey. Anyways, so we've got our upper control arm out of the way. That just gets the spindle forward where you can now access your coil spring. I'm just going to take and drop the crane, which should lower the bottom control arm, allow me to just pull the spring out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you do not want to heat up your coil springs to drop. They tend to take on some weird shapes. Didn't know it was shaped like that. That's probably why this truck was sagging so bad on this side. I can show you the other side. It still was setting it where it was supposed to be. I'll show you that. So this is the spring that came out the other side. You can see where these coils are touching. They used to be separated like these. So when all I could get to is this center, like 4 inches in between the control arm and the spring perch, spring cup. So I just heated this up, let everything sag, and it worked. But when I tell you this truck rode like a Cadillac before I lowered it, what did they say about Bentleys? You could park it and it would rock for an hour. That's what this truck would do. It rode like a cloud. Absolutely fantastic. There's no ride quality out there like Coil Springs on all four corners, but it doesn't work so well for towing stuff. That's why people wind up going to leaf springs in the back, because you could put so much more weight on them. It was so much more stable. That being said, love the ride of four corner coils. So, but yeah, when I lowered it, it took a lot of that ride quality away. Some of the stability, not the right shocks, all that stuff. I get it. I also had to do a rear end swap in this truck. Tried to do a burnout one night and broke the welds holding the axle tube into the hog head and the differential, and it spun the differential on the axle tube. So instead of fixing it, it had like 373s in it, and with this 4-speed, this truck was screaming at 55 miles an hour. It was running like 2,600 RPMs at 55 mile an hour. So I had a 273 gear ratio 12 bolt lay in here. I just did a swap. Only difference was this year model truck, because of the coil springs, had a pan hard bar. Pan hard bar mounts to your frame and to the axle in order to keep your axle in your truck from doing this. Okay, the pan hard bar holds the axle firmly to where the truck moves. The original casting for this truck had an eyelet for that pan hard bar to bolt in. On the new rear end, did not have that eyelet. So instead, I had welded up I used some muffler clamps and a piece of angle iron to weld up a pan hard bar bracket, and I could never get it tight enough to keep it from sliding on the tube. So I wasn't doing this going down the road, but I had a little bit of shift, especially when you go into a hard corner going too fast. So I've got an actual pan hard bar weld on bracket this time. I've got an adjustable pan hard bar. We're gonna make everything as good as we can make it. Back to the front. You'll learn to bear with me. I like to ramble. Some of my stories are interesting, some of them are not. I usually realize that about halfway through telling it. I'm like, that's a boring story. I should probably move on. Tell you what I am going to do first. I'm going to knock some of that there grime out of the way. So this is my first truck when I was 15, 16 years old. Even though it was two-wheel drive, I had some 32-inch mud tires on the back. This thing would go anywhere. You talk about something that doesn't give a crap about snow or water or mud or anything. This truck doesn't, and it's been places, as you can see. 13 years of grime. It's probably great for the rust. It's all right though. One other note about doing your suspension this way: under that wishbone that goes to these two bolts, there's some spacers. They look like body shims, and they may actually be body shims. I don't know. But those are for your alignment. They set your camber. So whatever you do, if you take the shims off to clean them or whatever you're going to do, you make sure that you categorize how many went where. So in my case, I'm not even going to take them off. I'm not going to do nothing with it. Once I get the suspension done, I plan to pull the truck out and do a full pressure wash and some kind of degreaser and just clean it really, really well and paint the whole frame rails and everything black. Kind of encapsulate the rust, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not worried about it, but that is a note that if you take it off this way, you want to make sure you put the shims back in the same place. Probably great for that brake line too. Had to engage the safety squints there. All right, so now that we're that far, I'm going to go ahead and put this spring back in here. raise it back up and bolt it back together. So these are my new springs. You can see that they're roughly the same height as what is in there, but these are collapsed a lot more just because they're weak, they're smaller coils, and they were also heated up to sag. So this should accommodate for the extra weight of the big block and still give me that rough 3-inch drop in the front, just to kind of keep the truck level. If it doesn't work out, maybe we'll do bags, who knows, but you know, figure it out one of these days. So, put the coil back in the bottom, kind of rock it up so it'll go back in the cup. Put the chain out here where I can use it, and then you just start. After you reset your chain, hold on. There we go. Then you just use your crane, raise it back up in position. Basically until you just feel tension on the spring. There you go. So now I can no longer twist the spring by hand. Oh, there we go. All right. Now I can't twist the spring by hand. So that's good enough for me, good enough for what I want to do. All I'm going to do at this point, swing that upper control arm back into place. I'm going to maneuver it with the bottom ball joint so I can move the whole spindle around. Uh-oh, drop my shims. Remember those shims. Can't let those bad boys fall. And you just push it back into place, put your hardware back on it, tighten it back down. I'm not going to say that you can't over tighten these nuts, but they are holding your whole front suspension together, so make sure you give them a few ugga-duggas anyways. Just going to get them run down to the bottom so I can get my crane out of the way here. There we go. Oh yeah, baby. Good old loud overhead crane there. All right, once that's tight, get the dirt back out of your brake line. Then you take your little clip. Like I said, there's a hex drive on that soft line, so you get it started. And you put your clip in there, get your little hammer, tap the clip back in. Then you just start your hard line back in the hole, just to keep it from leaking brake fluid. I may also be doing a disc brake conversion on the front of this truck. I'm not sure yet. We'll kind of have to see how time allots itself. But either way, these brakes are going to have to be bled at least once. But they are drums and they are junk. So take that as you will. Put your brake line back on. Then your upper shock stud is I believe it'll be a 3/4 fine thread. It's a 15/16 socket. Got your little needle nose to grab the hex that is right behind this flange on the outside of the frame rail. So, get your socket on there, and then you set this thing up to where you can grab your deal. All you gotta do is spin it off. So you can see those flats right there, top and bottom. That's designed for a wrench. Not 100% sure how you get a wrench on it, but it's there. So as I said, these shocks came with new upper shock studs. There may be a size difference. I'm not 100% sure. But since it came with new ones, I was going to go ahead and use them. And unwrap that thing. Ain't that purty? Sponsor me. So, there's your hardware kit. It does not come with a new lower bolt, just a new upper bolt. But there's your new upper shock stud. It comes with a lock washer and a nut for that, and also comes with a flat, a lock, and a nut for the outside of this once you get the shock on. So I do the exact same thing that you just did to take it off. You get your fancy little needle nose vice grips. Uh-oh, too far. Give her a little clamp. Stick it through the hole and start your hardware. You always want to make sure you got at least 2 or 3 threads started before you take an impact to it. And then you send it down with all the ugly ducks. All right. Now, I'm also, because I was stupid and had to fight with it for a minute, I'm going to put a little bit of grease in this top eyelet to get it on the stud. Does not matter what kind of grease, just any grease. Lubrication makes everything better. You take and slide her on there. See if you can get it bottomed out. That'd be fantastic. Sweet. Looky there. Then you take that new nut and washer. What did I do with it? Oh my goodness. Up. Because the snake had bit me. Uh-oh. And your washer. Lock washer. Nut. Again, you're going back with a 3/4. You don't want to send this, so my gun has a hand tight, which is supposed to be like 10 to 25 foot-pounds, let's say. Then you got a wrench tight, which is like 25 to 50 foot-pounds. You've got half full torque, which is supposed to be like 700 or 800 on this gun. And then you've got full torque, which is supposed to be 1,500-pound tightening. This is the Ingersoll Rand 1/2-inch drive. I love this gun. Had this thing for a long time. I had it on the hand tight mode. It will do that, and then it will stop torquing. Pretty cool. So now that you got that done, you gotta push the shock in, get it lined up in your lower shock mount there. Looks like mine's a little bit bent, actually. I have to open it up a little bit. The other side went in no problem, so go figure. Then you take your lower bolt. I'm not going to replace it because I don't care. collapse the shock, get it started. May have to do some massaging. Or you might have to massage the eyelets a little bit more. There we go. Should work. Wow. I'm going to have to play with this thing a minute. And I'm sure y'all don't want to sit here and watch me play with this shock mount and get it all straightened out for the next 10 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and sign off. Again, if you made it this far with me, thank you for watching. My intention with this channel is to somewhat be a tutorial on how to do certain things. As family friendly as I can keep it. You know, I want anybody to be able to watch and learn something from it or just get a good laugh. I want to be entertaining. You know, I've been watching Cletus McFarland and Weston Champlin and, I mean, God, Hoonigan, you know, whomever else is doing the automotive side of YouTube. Been watching them for years, always wanted to get in on it. I think that I've got enough personality to make this happen. So, you know, thank you for supporting me. Leave some comments below on what you think I should do. And we'll see you on the next one.